evening, everybody. I'm going to do something a little different today. We're going to bring people up slowly but surely. I'm going to introduce you the stars of our show. Pretty much, I'm going to bring in one of our normal guys that come on here, Richard.
Hey man, Richard, you can catch me on X at Riggs928.
Yep. Another guy, a fan favorite, a new breed, Steve.
Yes, sir. New breed 313 Sports. Happy to be here. Glad the Tigers won today, too. Glad they won today.
Absolutely.
They needed it.
And Steve, you can introduce our special guest tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, played in the majors. Hey, listen. Been in Japan. Based in Florida. Drafted by the Tampa Rays and played for the Texas Rangers. Played in Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to welcome Mr. Kyle Bird to the show.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
That's awesome. We appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come and have a nice conversation with us for whatever time we take. We're probably gonna do a few topics, but do we have any questions from anybody here? That way we can start off, and then we'll kind of mingle in and out of questions to you and topics that maybe will pertain to your experience in baseball as well, with our Tiger topics and you as well. So, yeah.
I think it would be interesting for the people. He was talking to us off air briefly about the difference between playing over in Japan and the Americans. You want to explain the difference?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I experienced personally that were very different for me. One is obviously the culture in general, right? The way that everything is structured over there. It's got such a structure to it that it really throws you off once you get over there. Like, you go from kind of I don't want to say a lack of respect over here in America, but respect is just so much more of a point of emphasis over there. You know, there are certain words that you have to say to certain people, in certain ways you have to greet people just because they're older than you. Like, so that was that was probably one of the biggest in-your-face adjustments that I got right off the bat. But as far as the game goes, man, they are so fundamentally sound, and they have such a focus on the small things of baseball. You know, bunting is such a big thing over there, which you rarely ever see it over here anymore. I probably saw more squeeze attempts in Japan in the 1 year that I was over there than I saw in the 8 years that I played over here in the States. You know, it's such a different game in the way that they play it and the way that they go about it. Even the spring trainings, the practices, all the stuff that I went through over there are just structured so differently, and it's all based on the fundamentals of the game. Versus here, it's just kind of more play to your strengths. And I don't want to say it's not structured over here in America, but it's just structured a different way, where over there it's like kind of what you would learn in high school or at a college level, where guy on first and second, we're automatically going to bunt to move them over, where you don't really see that in the American game anymore. You know, bunt plays that we're practicing on a weekly basis, you know, different things like that you just don't really see in the American game anymore. Not to say either one is better than the other. It's just, it was a major adjustment to go back to that kind of structure again.
I mean, it makes sense, because you see a lot of times where, like, pitchers, they get lost when the ball comes back to them and, like, there's runners on it. And you see a lot of errors, right? Like, that's why you always say, make them make the play, right? Like, so yeah. Do you think we over in the States make less emphasis on the basics, fundamentals of the baseball?
I don't think it's necessarily that they make less of an emphasis on it. I think there's a point over here in America where they basically can say, well, if you don't know how to do this and you don't know how to stay sharp on this on your own, then you're not really going to make it, you're not going to make it to the level you want to be at over here. Where I think over there, they focus on it so much. It's kind of funny too, because you see it as such an emphasis over there, yet there's so many people that still can't do it over there. And I don't know if it's because the pressure that's put on them over there or what it is, but I think it's just something that's not really in the game here in America, where over there in Japan, it is such a big part of the game. Bunting is such a huge part of the game over there, and small ball is such a big part of the game over there, which I think is why they put so much emphasis on it over there.
I think you see. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, so I was stationed over in Korea for a while. It's not Japan, but it's Korea. And I went to a couple of the Korean games, and I think that they're similar to that as well. But I think the Japanese and the Korean, because of their culture and the way they are, they're really more rigid than we are. We're more looser in terms of so when a coach yells at you, it's not nearly the same effect as over there. And that's probably why there's a lot of pressure on a lot of the players. And this is just from perspective or opinion based, is that with their culture being so rigid, when your boss tells you to do something, you do it. There's no I talk back, or if I make. So I think that's why their pressure is a little bit different over there. When the coach says, we need you to do this and you're not doing it, the pressure's stronger for them, I think, as an individual versus maybe an American player going over there. Maybe that's just a perspective that I have. That's all.
I can agree with you 100%. And you actually just reminded me of kind of a story I think back and laugh at now. I remember sitting, I think I was sitting in the bullpen at the time during a game, and the bullpen coach asked me to do something, and my translator obviously translated it to me, and I told my translator to ask him why. And my translator, he didn't really know what to say, and I was like, are you going to ask him why or not? He goes, we don't really have a word that translates to why, in Japan. And I'm like, well, how do you figure stuff out? He's like, you don't. You just if you're told to do something, you just do it.
Yep.
You don't really need to ask why. It's you trust the person older than you is giving you the right information, and you just do it.
I miss that's the 1980s, early 90s. Anything from that point prior is kind of how Japan has always been and still kind of is. There's no if I tell you to do something, you do it. There's you don't need to talk back to me. And so we've gone away from that, obviously, out here. But yeah, I figured that's kind of how it would be in the pressures. It's just a little different for a Korean or a Japanese player versus an American player. But perfect. That's a perfect story. I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that kind of was the question I was going to ask, the language barrier and how to learn their language and stuff. Did it take more time than you thought to learn their language and the culture and everything while you was down there?
I think I was as far as learning the language goes, I think I was very lucky to be in Hiroshima where I was, because if I would have been in Tokyo, there's so many people that speak English in Tokyo that I don't think I would have been placed in the opportunities to speak the language, because I would have never really needed it. In Hiroshima, there's pretty much nobody that speaks English over there. Very few people speak English. Now, luckily, I had a translator with me pretty much anywhere I went. I could call him at any time to have him talk for me anywhere I had to go. But they are also very structured to where, if I needed to go anywhere, I had to call a taxi. And they had a sheet of paper next to the phone in my apartment that basically told me everything I would need to say. If I was going to the field, call the taxi and say this right here, and I would just read it off on the phone. And it's funny because the conversation never changed with me and whoever was picking me up to go to the field. It was always, and they wrote it out. It was, you would say taxi onegaishimasu, which means taxi, please. And then it would say the operator will say this, and they would say it word for word. And then they told me, say this right after. And so it was funny how the conversation always went according to that paper, but they were always prepared for everything. I mean, they've been doing it for so long, but I think just being around it so much and learning the simple phrases I needed to learn in order to get by, they made it very, very easy on me to do so. I've lost a lot of it now because I haven't obviously used it or practiced it in a while, but there still is a couple things that I remember from being over there.
Okay. So question I would ask, another question I would say, if it was by any like young pitchers, any young kids that like wanted to learn to know the difference, like, okay, if I go to Japan or go to the States to play baseball, what would you say, like pitching wise, and the hitters and everything, what would be the difference with that you would
as far as facing hitters over there?
Yes.
I would say, oh man, I would say going over there, one of the biggest things I think that going over there can teach you is how to get guys out in the strike zone. There's not a lot of chasing over there, and they are really, really good at knowing the strike zone, and they're really, really good at fouling the ball off. I remember one instance, I remember I backed up a slider and it was going to hit a guy straight in the knee, and he jumped completely backwards, swung, and fouled it off because he was just so focused on fouling the ball off. That's just what he did. Like, those guys are so good at putting the bat onto the ball. I think one of the biggest things that you learn going over there is how to get guys out in the zone or just outside of the zone, which, you know, that is a big emphasis here as well. But I think you can get away with a lot more here in the States than you can over in Japan as far as expanding the zone to get people out and striking people out, I should say.
I got a question for you since you're a pitcher. Were you a primarily reliever, or did you start too at some point?
I was mainly a reliever. When I was with Tampa and they were starting the whole opener thing, I was one of the candidates to be the openers in the minor leagues, and I did that for probably 2 years.
So my question is, and I'm gonna ask it in two parts to include over in Japan where you were. Why do you think in America now we do not let starters throw more than 90 pitches? And is that the same over there?
Huh.
I think we got him.
No, I think you guys are going to be shocked by this answer. So to be honest with you, it's very hard for me to weigh in on why we don't let guys go more over here, because honestly, I don't understand it. I really don't. I think a part of it could be they have so much money invested in these guys over here that if they risk them getting hurt, then, you know, then obviously their investment's going to waste, right? But I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that you should let a guy fight to 100, 120 pitches and get 7 or 8 innings in, especially if he's rolling. I think that you've seen it multiple times, especially through the playoffs, that teams will just give up on a starter too early instead of riding him out. And I don't know what really that's contributed to. I couldn't put my finger on it, and obviously I haven't been in that situation to understand it. But as far as that versus what they do in Japan, the first day that I was over there, I watched one of them throw a bullpen, and the entire bullpen took 2 hours to throw, and it was roughly around 300 pitches.
Wow.
So as far as what is the pitch count over there versus over here, they have like an unlimited pitch count over there. I watched a guy throw a complete game, 147 pitches.
Jeez.
Holy moly.
And he walked, I think he walked like 3 guys, gave up 2 runs. Like, I mean, it was
So
crazy.
what's their life expectancy, like their pitching expect? How long do they last on the average? You may not know that answer, but because at that rate, are they also fastball pitchers too? Are they more like a Greg Maddox where they're finesse pitchers? that change.
Mostly,
that would change.
mostly everybody is a finesse pitcher, but one thing that they do over there a lot more than us, over here, they throw a lot of splitters, which isn't help. Which is, I mean, puts a lot of strain on your arm as well.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you don't necessarily see the consistent velocity that you see over here, but they are throwing probably, I mean, each person over there that I can remember had about anywhere from 5 to 7 pitches that they threw. Everybody threw a splitter.
Oh, wow.
And everybody I knew over there, if they threw a bullpen, it was at least 50 pitches, starter or reliever.
But if he just said they throw splitters, which is strain on your elbow, that would kind of cancel that out, right?
Well, it puts more strain on your elbow than typically a fastball would. But I can't really remember any of my time over there, any of my teammates getting hurt while I was there, having any arm trouble. I mean, people would get tired, but they
So
just
do
fight
starting
through it.
pitchers get frustrated when they get pulled out when they're doing good under 100 pitches?
They don't. If they're doing good, they don't get pulled.
Oh,
No,
wow.
over here.
It's. Oh yeah, over here, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, because we have issues, with our Tigers because a lot of a couple of our starters, they only be in there for like 2-3 innings. So and that's a consistent. Well, besides Scooble, but a lot of the other guys, they just only be there for like 2-3 innings, and then they'll bring in a reliever pitcher. So because a lot of times the relievers be in there longer than the actual starters. So
yeah. I can actually, and just to compare the two, I can remember I was watching a game that Scooble was throwing against the Rangers, and I think he had gotten to the 8th inning. I can't remember if there were 1 or 2 outs, but he gave up like a double in the 8th inning, and they ended up taking him out right there. If that was the case over in Japan, they would have just – and I think he had like 12 strikeouts at the time, 10 to 12 strikeouts at the time. Like he was dominating, and if that was the case and he was over there in Japan, they probably would have wrote him out. Where over here, it's like the pitch count's getting a little high. We don't want to risk him for injury, need him for the playoffs, which I get that. I understand that. He's going to do a lot more for you over there. And, they take him out. I think the next batter or two ends up driving in the run. They tie up the game. Scooble gets his loss, which I'm sure, guys get mad about that. But at the same time, it's the manager's game to call. So you got to respect what the manager says. You got to go with it. You got to trust the guys that are coming in behind you.
Cool.
So is
Go. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. Sorry, guys.
no,
you're good. Do the pitchers hang with the pitchers and the hitters hang with the hitters, or
Pretty
Are you-
much. That's we intermingle, but there's so much separation just because you're on different schedules throughout the day.
Okay.
Pitchers spend a lot of time with the catchers out of all the position players, but it is kind of a separation between pitchers and position players. It's not that they're completely separated and isolated, but most of your time is spent with your position group.
I have one question, okay? And I know you're a pitcher, so you might be a little biased, okay? Who's more superstitious, pitchers, position players?
I would probably have to say pitchers just because I know myself and I knew all the superstitions of the pitchers that I was around. I never got to talk enough to position players to really ask them that question or notice it.
All right.
But I know a ton of superstitions that I kind of had that a multitude of other pitchers had as well.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. I figured.
do pitchers think they can hit?
Absolutely. Every one of us do.
Now, here's a question, and they put it up a few times recently. I've been seeing it like through TikTok or Twitter or whatnot. Do you ever remember watching the Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine commercial where they had to buff up for okay, cool. I wonder, is that what you're thinking? Like as pitchers, you're just like, I could do that.
Every one of us. Very few people will be honest and say that they can't hit.
Of course.
So I do got a question. So the Major League Baseball trade deadline just passed.
Yeah.
How is it for a player in the minor leagues when it comes around trade deadline? Is it different? Like, are there talk? Like, explain to the people how it is.
I think in the minor leagues, you don't know. Like, the only thing. This is in my experience. Now, I was never a high prospect. I was never anybody really of any interest or anything like that. But from my experience of it, basically anything that you would see as a fan watching on TV is pretty much what we knew as minor leaguers. The only people that were really important and kind of have those conversations with the GM are the people at the major league level. Where basically, sometimes you'll basically get called in and they'll tell you straight up, like, hey, we're trying to shop you around just to give you a heads up before the deadline. The only time it ever did happen to me was during the COVID season. And I think the only reason I got told about anything was the Rangers were trying to shop somebody. And I was sitting at home for the COVID season, and they basically said, if we trade this guy, you are going to come out to Dallas and spend the rest of the season with the team. So that was the only reason I had ever heard anything. But as far as a minor leaguer goes, being in the minor leagues, you don't hear anything until you are traded. You don't know anything about any information of you being involved in a trade until they basically tell you.
And that's kind of good too, because you don't want to be worried. Because you're still going to play. You're still going to play a game. Why would they want you to worry about whether you're going to be traded or anything like that? So I can see that could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I think that's why they do it too.
Okay, cool. We have you want to ask him a question?
Yeah. So
okay, cool.
So I'm gonna do two questions. I'm gonna ask this one first. Is there like a hitter that always gave you a tough time and you just hated like every time you saw him, you just was like, oh, this guy again. Oh.
It's been a while since I've played. I'm going to try to think of somebody off the top of my head. I can remember somebody really early on that I absolutely couldn't stand facing, and I faced him in my first 2 years at different levels, and that was Ozzie Albies. I could not stand facing that guy. He was such a tough out, and I never seemed to have any success off of him. I faced him my first professional season and then faced him my second season as well. That was one guy I could remember that I always struggled with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my second part is, was there did you have like a favorite city you went to, and did you have a city that you didn't like? I mean, you can answer or not answer that one too.
My favorite city of all time, and this could even include some of the major league cities I've been to, was Durham, North Carolina. That was, I don't know if I've ever had more fun playing baseball than when I got to play in that city. Just the history of it, the fans, the atmosphere. They do such a good job taking care of their players over there. The travel is great for all the leagues. I mean, it was, and I think a lot of that too was the team I was on. Just made it a lot more fun, and the success that we had made it a lot more fun. But that was probably my favorite city to play in, if you're not including major league cities. My worst one was probably when I was down, down in the bushes, as they say, down in the lower minor leagues. I would probably say Pulaski, West Virginia, I believe is the city it was in. Pulaski, West Virginia. We played the Pulaski Mariners there. And that was one of the toughest cities that we had to stay in. No, that was actually a commuter. One of the toughest cities we had to stay in. I'm trying to think of where it was, but we stayed in like a Motel 6. The doors didn't shut, so our teammates that were staying in the room next to us. We told them to leave their doors open because our door wouldn't shut. And that way, if we got mugged or something, we could yell and have them come in and help us out. And I just remember we had bed bugs that day, that trip. I want to say, I don't want to be wrong. I want to say it was Johnson City, Tennessee, but I could be wrong on that.
Wow.
But there's some tough cities down at the lower levels. I think they've kind of done a good job of weeding them out now, but there have been some tough cities that I've been to for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, so one more question here, I guess, before we get into the topics, and I know the majors is very, like, every level of baseball is difficult. What was the most difficult jump? Like, okay, I'm sure I have cousins that played like travel, AAU baseball, all this kind of stuff. But what was your what was the biggest jump? What was the hardest jump after, like, where you would, I mean, because I'm looking at your, like, where you started off at. You started off at like Florida State. You went to Princeton, Durham. What level of baseball was like the biggest jump from, like, was AA to AAA worse? Was AAA to the majors harder? Like, which was the hardest jump from one to the other?
I would say, from my experience, I would probably say going to the big leagues. And I think a lot of that was the situation that I was in and how I approached it. But I think it was just those guys in the big leagues are so good, and there's a reason that there are guys that go there and stay there. And the game that is played up there is just such a good, consistent game. And if you can't find that consistency, you're not going to stay there. And it's a very cutthroat game. I say that in a good way. Like, they do a good job of weeding out the guys that should not be there. So I would probably say going to the big leagues is the toughest jump as far as going there and staying there. Now, as far as the minor leagues go, I had the toughest time going from AA to AAA.
Okay. I figured the jump to the majors was the biggest, because I've heard it from – I've had, like, friends that – like lady friends that have had boyfriends that had played minor league baseball. I had one, a manager that worked with me. Her boyfriend played for, like, he was drafted by the Blue Jays, but he got, like, a leg injury or something, and he could never play again. But he said pretty much the same thing. He goes, the jump to the majors is just so – I mean, the minors, like, most of the pitchers have, like, one, maybe two pitches, but people that stay in the majors, they got a slew of pitches outside of a very few, but most of them have just multiple pitches. And then the batters, they're so precise about how they change and how they stand in their rituals, and it's so much more work. But those that put the work in are the ones that, like, just stay there. And, like, but even the ones that jump back and forth, those guys are still really good too. It's just they can't stay there. It's just he just said it was just so hard that you have to be in the situation to understand it.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, so we've got some. Oh, go ahead, Rich. You want to say something?
You're muted, Rich.
You're muted.
You're muted, Rich. They got you kidnapped over there.
Who was the toughest hitter you ever faced?
In overall
Ever.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout?
That sounds about right. About right.
Actually, I might take that back. Anthony Rizzo was pretty tough as well.
Oh, Rizzo.
Because he stands right on top of the plate.
To be honest, did you back him off?
Accidentally once.
Of course it's accidental. It's always accidental.
That was actually who I faced in my big league debut.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was the first guy I ever faced.
Wow.
Did Trout get you, or did you get him?
Trout got me.
Okay, gotcha.
Trout got me. Yep, yeah. Trout got me.
Man, it's such a shame injuries with him.
Yeah, that is one guy. If you could pick one player to just start his career over and he never faces an injury, I would love to see his career.
Absolutely. Same here. At least the last 5 or 6 years, because he got that chronic lower back injury or whatever he has. He's still playing, but
yeah,
man, that just changed. It's crazy because we've discussed on here before. It's like the one of ones that make it through like a 15, 20-year career and can make the Hall of Fame and can be that top guy. I mean, you have to make sure you're healthy. You got to make sure that you can you constantly make corrections to your batting stance, the way you swing on a regular basis, year in and year out. Make sure you eat right. I mean, the amount of stuff that you have to do and just have luck just to stay in the league long enough to make it worth your while and to be able to make the amount of stuff that you have to go through is just crazy. And
go
ahead.
I'm sorry. 2 of my favorite matchups, and I see it on every time I see it on a Facebook reel, I watch it, is Miguel Cabrera versus Roger Clemens and Miggy when he was, I think, 19, 20 in the World Series, and then him versus Mariano Rivera. Yeah. Man, those are classic matchups.
Yeah.
Like they never get old.
Yep. All right, so let's get into our topics here, and we can kind of weave your opinions in structure. I can call you Kyle or Mr. Bird, however you want me to structure it.
Whichever one.
Okay.
Kyle's fine.
All right, that sounds good. So our first one is going to be so Detroit Tigers trade deadline aftermath. So we're just trying not necessarily bad, but just the fact that like who'd we pick up, and did we get better? What do you think? What do you guys think?
But I mean, whoever. So it's kind of funny. It's like everyone was trashing the Tigers for who they got, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were trashing the Tigers for who they got, but for
it was 3 or 4.
Rich, you're cutting out. So yeah, a lot of people on X and Twitter were like trashing the Tigers for getting certain for the selections they made. They were looking for big name players. They were looking for big name people, And if anybody knows, Chris Ilitch is not a big spender. He said for the last 2 years that he's going to build through the draft and he'll just get good quality players. I don't think that this year was the year that they were building to be like a World Series champ. It just happened that last year we got farther than was expected. And I think a lot of Tiger fans, it happened the same thing with the Lions as well, is you go farther than you expected, and now that's the new bar. And so from that point, you're like, well, why didn't we bring in the top three guys that we were looking for? Why didn't we try to get freaking Suarez? Why didn't we try to get Benar? Why didn't we? I think Halsley was the other one. All 3 of them got traded, but it wasn't us. But we went for the older guys we went with a lot of veteran pitchers, middle relievers, and starters that would help us out. And thank goodness, because Reese Olson went down with an injury. What do you think, Steve? Ooh.
Well, I think it was more so just wasn't too much the names of it. I just think they just did it because they needed pitching depth.
Mm-hmm.
They just needed better pitching because a lot of guys that got shut down, got injured, and this is just for the long haul so that we don't have to rely everything on Scuba. We can have Scuba, we can have Mize, and then we have everybody else. So this is just basically moves that they made because they wanted more pitching depth.
Yeah,
that's basically what it was. I think more impact in what we have. I don't think it's just more so just who we picked up in the trade. I think it's more so that we got Kerry Carpenter back, because ever since we got him back, he's been on the road.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think they just did it more so just for pitching depth.
Mm-hmm.
Or so. I mean, I kind of knew we wasn't going to get the guys that we want. I mean, ever since Will Vest threw at Suarez, I already knew we weren't going to get him. So
he wanted to go.
I'm not gonna say it was on purpose.
He wanted to go to Detroit. You know, he used to play for Seattle. Once we beat him, he's like, I'm gonna go to Seattle. Yeah. I'm going right back to Seattle.
Yeah, it's a team to me that did a lot in the deadline, and it's in our division. Is the Twins. The Twins was wholesaling like crazy.
Yeah,
they got rid of everybody. Correa, a lot of guys. I was surprised they gave up Correa.
Yeah.
So and sent him back to his old team.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
they got rid of Tom Frantz and all them. So
they were probably trying to build up their farm system. I mean, if you saw the Padres dismantled their entire farm system. They gave up like all their freaking top 100 draft picks and so on and so forth. So Kyle, what I don't know if you're following like the trade deadline. I mean you're baseball, so I'm assuming you still like baseball. Did you get to see like how the Tigers and who they picked up? They picked up all pitchers. So I mean that's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I was prepared today. I got a little bit of notes with me.
Okay.
That's my guy right there.
So I don't usually keep up with the Tigers. I did make sure I had some notes today, just to know, so I could at least give some content and weigh in. Personally, for me, I don't watch baseball up until the trade deadline gets around, because that's when I think baseball gets good. Mm-hmm. Also, when you watch 180 games a year, you sometimes get tired of watching the longevity of the season. But this is when I think it gets great, especially around the trade deadline. From what I saw, from what they did, when I take a seat back and look at it, I'm not super invested in the Tigers, just to be honest. I'm not really invested in any team. I just like watching good baseball. But watching what they did and knowing what they did last year, they have such a young core group of guys that made such an incredible run last year. Mm-hmm. I think their biggest thing going into this is they didn't necessarily want to have the big name splash that was going to possibly change up the chemistry inside that locker room. I think they want to keep that core group of guys that were in the battle of everything last year. And they know just as well as everybody else. And kind of what we talked about earlier today is like, starters are not going to go very long once the playoffs come around. So are you going to bring guys in that are going to be able to fill those innings in? And personally, for me, getting a guy like Charlie Morton, to be able to, if you have a starter go out in the second inning, well, Charlie's been in that situation before. I think he was doing that back when he was with the Braves. Mm-hmm. Like he was basically coming in and running out 5 innings to get to that back end of the bullpen. Yeah. And then you bring in guys like Paul Sewald and Rafael Montero, 2 guys that I personally played with that have been in those postseason big moments so that when you're in those big games, you have guys that have been there, done that, and have been in that situation before. So I think it was a smart move by them. I think for me, it's not surprising to see, they're kind of, what do they have, the best record in baseball right now or close to it?
We're like neck and neck, right there.
You're doing that with such a young group of guys in that locker room, and even on the pitching staff, like such a young group of guys that are having success on that pitching staff as well in the starting rotation. So I don't think you want to bring in a big name that's going to necessarily take attention off of that,
Okay.
In my opinion.
Do you think because they brought almost all the guys they brought in were real veteran guys. Like they are all like over 30. So, and a lot of us are not, we call it the AARP pitching staff pretty much because of how many guys they bring in for veterans. And I get it. And they're probably short-term, rentals till the end of the season, which they can easily get rid of. And if they want to bring in a new pitcher or whatnot, but my thought is like, I think I get the veteran, but why wouldn't you want to bring in somebody that's a little closer to like maybe upper 20s versus an over 30 pitcher? Is there outside of like contract base? Is there any reason why bringing that many people in? And a lot of it was middle relief. We got a lot of middle relief. What is the pros? And I mean, I obviously know the cons because of age and they can break down real quick, but what are the pros outside of the mentorship to bringing in a veteran?
I think it's because they're trying to win right now, and they're not necessarily looking. I mean, obviously you want the future to be bright, but I think they're trying to win right now. And I think in order to do that, I don't think and another part of me too, I don't think they wanted to change much of what they had either. I think they truly believe in the team that they have and the clubhouse that they have right now. But if they could bring in some veteran guys who may be able to mentor some of those young bullpen arms that they have, or some of those young starters that they have for a short period of time, and possibly have some experience in the postseason, because all of these guys that they have brought on have, other than maybe a couple, have postseason experience.
Yeah.
And I think they fully expect to make a deep run in the postseason. At least I believe they're going to. I'm sure you guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
So, you have guys that have not only played in the postseason, but gone on very deep runs in the postseason, know what it's like. And if they need to be called on, that they're going, more than not, that they're going to deliver. Yeah, they may be old and you may not have them for multiple years, but I think as the Tigers, you're trying to win right now and win with that young core group of players so they understand what winning feels like.
Gotcha.
And that they can build off of that.
That's cool. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I just wanted to see your take from the pitch. I kind of figured that's what it was, but you don't know unless you have somebody that's actually been there and done that or got that. Because our view from the other side isn't the same as your view because you could have told me, nah, not really. Like, actually, there's more minute to it than just the fact of what. There's two sides of every coin, and we don't know. Unless we've ever played it at a certain level, which I never have, I wouldn't know. And it's always better to have a perspective from somebody that has. So I appreciate it.
I mean, I could be completely wrong too, to be honest with you. I don't like to compare this at all because it's not really a comparison. But when I was with Tampa for those 5 years, every team I was on, we ended up going to the playoffs for some reason. But their big thing, even at at such a smaller level, at the minor league level, but they didn't want to break those teams apart because of the chemistry that you build with those group of guys.
Yeah.
That's just kind of, I guess, the way I look at it. I've never been a GM, so I don't know what the GM might be thinking, but just from my experiences, that's what I would guess it would be. And I could be completely wrong on that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we got it. I mean, Charlie Morton came in, pitched, I think, five or six really good innings. We got the win. And then today we got the win. Finnegan came in. I don't think he gave up a run, and he did really well too. So it looks well. I mean, I'm glad we got middle relief. I wish, like I said, they were a little bit younger, but that doesn't mean they ain't going to do good. I mean, Chris Fetter's like one of, if not the best pitching coaches in the majors, and I'm sure he can keep them whatever nuance they need to know or change up. He's gonna find that he's gonna pull every little ounce of whatever they need out of them. And the good thing is that by bringing in, and I just thought of this off the top of my head, but bringing in middle relief halfway through the season kind of rests the arms of the players that we were already dragging along. So, I mean, hopefully that'll give them a break. And I've noticed they switch players. They'll bring them up for a few weeks and then they'll send them back down. I mean, they only have so many options, but that also rests players' arms too as well. So, but yeah, I like the middle relief. I mean, once again, a little old for my taste, and I'm an old guy, so. but I mean, I still like it because we talked at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. We needed quality veterans on this team because we just didn't have enough. We're way too young. We need quality. And at first, most of us, and it's not Steve, but it was like me, Mike, and Richard really didn't like the players that we picked up. Well, they've all been doing good. So we had to go back on our word and say, well, we were wrong. So people are wrong. you don't always make the right choices, but the choices sometimes find you. I mean, Torres is doing great. So I'm glad. I'm glad. I hope we do make a good run. It looks like we're still picking up where we left off at before the All-Star break. So yep. So we got a few more topics here. So let's go off. So this kind of slides in the next. Did we get enough in the trade to make a difference? What do you think, Steve?
I think I think we can, because I think the guys that we pick up, it can like lessen the load for the other pitchers, especially because I know a lot of fans been saying that some of the pitchers been worn out or this team's been tired or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think it can, just because you got some fresh arms that that can last throughout the season, and their experience is good, especially coming in the playoffs. So that'll be great. And then they can teach the young pitchers. They can teach them everything that they learn. Pitchers that they haven't even been taught. So that could come around. But I think we can. I think we do have enough. It's just we just got to just win these games. That's the thing. And we can't get tired. This is the thick of the season, and a lot of teams, being that we had a good start, it's going to be a lot of teams that's going to be hunting for us.
Yeah.
So, we had the best record pretty much majority of the season. We did kind of just back down, but to me, it's just more so just can they get through the pressure, even through these trades? That's the biggest thing to me. But for right now, I do think that this could be enough. I really do.
What do you think? Do you think Kyle, that the Tigers did enough to get us? I'm not going to say get us over the hump or get us to the World Series necessarily, but do you think we did what we needed to do, or do you think we could have gotten something else out of this out of the trade deadline?
I think they had enough, before the deadline, to be honest with you. I mean, they're a really exciting team to watch. I think as far as the trade deadline goes, I think they did do enough. I agree with Steve 100%. I think that, they got everything that they needed. You have guys that have been in big moments in the playoffs before, in big games, that have been through that experience before. And, some of them came from a losing team and now they're on a winning team. So I think that just adds more motivation for them to give more to this Tiger team. So I think that I think they did enough personally. I don't think they had to do much though.
Yeah.
They're such a good team and they're so young. And I think they're going to carry this momentum coming from last year all the way into the playoffs this year. I think they can make a really good run.
Awesome. Thank you. We need it as a Tigers fan. We need as much as we can get.
The Tigers being good is good for baseball. It really is.
Yeah.
And I think people knew that this team had talent. I don't think anybody knew that they were going to be best record in the league good.
Yep.
That's what it was.
I definitely didn't.
Fans,
I didn't.
I mean, it's crazy because at the beginning of the season when we were talking, we're like, listen, all we want is Baez to, like, if he could just have an average season, he ain't gonna make them. He ain't gonna be able to do well enough to account for the money that we're spending on him. Like, there's no way. Like, if we could just get him to have like just an average okay season, we'll be good. Can Torque figure it out? I hope so. I'm not putting any bet on it. I just want him to like try to figure it out. And holy cow, lo and behold, both of them freaking are doing great. And that was nobody was. If you tell me that you said you saw that coming, I'll tell you you're a liar. There is no way that somebody called that. And for the team to take off and do as well as they did, I'm baffled but happy. Like it's crazy. And it's great because at the end of the season, and even the beginning of the season, I explained, hey, Tigers Twitter, Tigers fans, understand that all these rookies that we had that did so well towards the end of the season, you're guaranteed to have a few of them fall off. It's just the way it goes. You can't have every single one of your rookies batting 280 or 290, hitting like 1,000 for OPS the whole season. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have a guy that's going to regress. He's going to have to be sent to the minors. You're going to have a couple of them that are going to be really good. Like, it's just, that's the way it works. They're young. But sure enough, they played really well. So I like it. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so who needs to step up for this postseason run? I mean, you always have somebody that's kind of behind that you expect to be playing well. Who needs to step up on the second half of the season?
Colt Keith.
Colt Keith.
I think it's Colt Keith.
Yeah.
I think with him, even if you move him as a leadoff hitter, you know, he has to step up and just show something. I know Baez got to get back to what he was in the first half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think really Winston Perez too. I think Winston Perez as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, and then another one too, and it's a pitcher, is Jack Flaherty.
Yep. Now Jack Flaherty has had two really good last couple of outings, though. But Kyle, now once again, like you said, you don't follow the Tigers. Do you have any like thoughts on who needs to step up? If you don't, I completely understand. But if you do, that'd be great.
The only I kind of have two answers.
Mm-hmm.
One, I think, and I can't really say whether they need to step up or not because I don't know, but I would just say the bullpen in general. You know, as you get closer to the season, I don't know if the bullpen needs to step up right now. Maybe they've been good, but if they've been good, then they need to make sure they keep that going. My second thing I would say, and once again, I don't know if this person needs to step up or keep it going, but I would say Javi. Javi's got to make sure whoever Javi was in the first half of the season that made him an all-star, I think the best thing for the Tigers is if that continues on through the rest of the year and into the postseason. Because you lose a guy that had so much success in the first part of the season, if that just goes away,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that could change a lot from your starting center fielder when it comes to postseason and, as we call it, nut crunching time.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I actually agree with the bullpen portion because our bullpen has been like, and this is just a relief staff, you know, like starters have been doing pretty good, but the bullpen has really, like, the middle relief has done really, like last night we were up 5-1 and or 4-1 and the bullpen gave up four runs in like 2 innings. Like, that was terrible. Like, I'm not used to seeing that for this year's Tigers. And lately they have been giving up more runs than they need to, whether it's they're just being taxed because the starters aren't going like one more inning than they used to, or they're just not I mean, AJ Hinch is really good at managing pitching staffs, like pitch count, but yeah, I don't know if it's just because the older pitchers are starting to wear in. Like one guy, what's his name? I think it's Tommy Cahill or whatever. I call him Mr. One Pitch because he throws 80% changeups and like 17% fastballs, and that's it. That's all he's got. He has nothing else. But he's been giving up a lot. And now, mind you, he's pitched more innings this year than he has the last 3 years. And the last time he pitched as many as he has now, it was 2019. So he's getting taxed. He's probably like 30, 33 or 34 years old. I think it's starting to take a toll on him. So bringing in these pitchers on trade may help him out, get him a little bit more rest, maybe give him a chance longevity wise. But yeah, I'll definitely agree with you, Kyle. The bullpen definitely has been taxed, and they are looking bad right now because a 5-run lead is not safe right now for us, like at all. So I'll agree with you there. The individual person that I would like to see is I'd have to agree with you on Colt Keith as a leadoff hitter. But my other one is, and I have to blitz him because I called him a possible 5-tool player last year. Was Parker Meadows?
Yeah,
The guy's got the size,
absolutely.
the speed, and at the time he had the glove, but he's made a lot of defensive errors this year, and he's still young. But if you got to be careful because you've got Max Clark coming up from the minors, and he's your future center fielder.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay on the team, he's got to start performing. So, but that's it. That's my two players.
And you know what? And somebody else I got to throw in there is Matt Vierlin. I got to throw Matt Vierlin in there. You know, I know he's coming out of an injury, but yeah, he's struggled since coming back from his injury. So that's another guy to step up. But even with the Tigers in their struggles, but you got to understand. But also too, they faced a lot of good teams too.
Yes, they have.
They faced, Philly, Toronto, Seattle.
Yep.
And I mean, it's tough after tough after tough. And sometimes with them tough teams, man, they can get you sometimes. They can get you.
Yes, they can. Definitely can. That is for sure.
So they faced they got, a little bit, I ain't going to say too much of a hiccup, but, that next series is against Minnesota, and then I think it's the Angels after this coming up week.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how they are at home that whole week. But, tomorrow they got Sunday Night Baseball, so a lot of eyes going to watch them and see how they are. So we'll just see how they play, too, as well. But those are guys to me that need to step up.
That is a really good point that you bring up as well, because when you're facing teams, Phillies, Blue Jays, Seattle, teams that are, at the top of the league, top of their divisions, and, even Seattle, who is trying to get to the top of their division, you're playing tight games and you're playing those playoff atmosphere kind of games, and it's not even playoff time yet. So it can wear on a team a lot, especially mentally if those games are, like you're saying, a 5-1 lead that gets, washed away all of a sudden in 2 innings, that can wear on a team mentally as well. But you get back into these, I don't want to say easy because there's nothing easy in the big leagues, but these easier series against, a team like the Twins that just sold everything, and the Angels and things like that. It kind of gives you time to get out of those tight games, maybe get some more lopsided games in the mix that give your guys a little bit more rest.
Absolutely, yeah.
They could be like Pittsburgh the other night and have a 9-run lead first 2 innings and then still lose. So those kind of games can happen too.
Atlanta had the same thing. Weren't they up 11-3 or something like that? And they is that the game you're talking about?
No, yeah, it was. No, I think it was
the Pirates and the Rockies.
Oh, okay. Because the Braves had one too. Because we posted it in our group chat. Because Day is an Atlanta Braves fan. Even though he's from Michigan, he's an Atlanta Braves fan. We posted in there, "What's up with your team, Day?" Like they gave up like 8 runs in like the last 2 innings. It's weird in today's game because there's so many people that are streaky hitters because they're so like they're all or nothing hitters and batters. They just seems like it's all or nothing. And you get to the late innings when you get to the relievers and they just all of a sudden like 10 runs are scored. It's crazy. Yeah. So we've got a new. We brought up a pitcher for a couple of for a little bit. Troy Milton. He came up. He has pitched one other start. He really got hit hard. That was I think like either last year or the beginning of this year. And then they brought him back up again, and he pitched a really good game. So thoughts. They're going to put him in the bullpen right now. They put him in the bullpen for Morton, I think, or for the other starter that's starting tomorrow, I do believe. They put him in the bullpen. So your thoughts on a new guy, and you can probably give us what he's thinking, seeing how when you came up from the minors and you had your chance to pitch, what's he going through right now as just a new guy in the majors?
It depends a lot on the situation. Honestly, it depends a lot on the team that's around him. You know, does he have a group of guys in the locker room that are picking him up? Does he have a group of guys that he can relate to? You know, in my experience, I had a tough time with, you know, I was traded and immediately to the big leagues with a completely new organization. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have much of like you know, comfortable friendships with the guys that I was with. So, you know, I put a lot of pressure on myself when I got up there. I was like, I put so much pressure on myself. I was like, I need to change who I am completely as a pitcher, because now I get to like rewrite my story kind of thing instead of just sticking to the script. You know, I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I did get to the big leagues, was trying to be somebody I wasn't, when the person I was the year before was good enough to be really, really good in the big leagues. So, you know, everybody adjusts to it differently. It affects everybody differently. The biggest thing I could say, and the best way to go about it, is just have the confidence in whatever got you there is going to keep you there. So hopefully, you know, I don't know much on this guy, but whatever journey he's gone through so far, if I could give him any advice, just trust in what got you to the big leagues, because that's what's going to keep you there.
Yeah. And it helps having a good pitching coach too. And that helps. That really helps, because that can ease your mind and ease the way you play. So if you got a good pitching coach, that'll make things a whole lot easier. Because you go to make mistakes, you got to throw good pitches. I mean, that's part of the game. It's just how he reacts during those pitches where guys is hitting him and stuff. Just how he reacts after that. Is it going to calm him down? And that's always every pitcher. You know what I mean? So it's just the way how you react. Like, you can always throw good pitches, throw good strikes, but it's just the way when you go through adversity, when you're going through bases loaded, no outs, is how am I going to get these 3 outs so nobody can score? So that's one of those things. Like, okay, it's a pressure situation, but it's always mental. So it's very that's, you know, it can be tough, but it's just the way that you get out of those situations. That's what helps. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and so watching his most recent game that he played, he had really good control. I only remember a little bit from his previous outing that he had, and it was he had control issues. So this time he was hitting his spots, and it's cool. It's really funny in today's game, because I mean, you get the box that kind of gives you an idea of like where they're throwing the pitch, which just kind of helps you out a lot better to like visually view it. So, or view the box and where the pitch is going. But it seems like pitchers nowadays, instead of trying to either overpowering them or try to finesse it in there, they're just trying to hit the edges, all the edges around the body. They're really trying to keep it more. I mean, obviously you don't want to throw something right down the middle for the batter, and occasionally you do. You miss your pitch, but they really try to paint the outside more than they used to, it seems like. But he had really good control his last outing. So putting him in the bullpen is going to be good. I think they're going to use him kind of like, and I don't know how long they're going to keep him up, because you can only stay up so long before they have to send him back down, because they'll still have control over him, because once he's up for so many pitches, he becomes a rookie, and then they lose another year of control. So as long as he stays in the minors, I don't know how many. I think it's 82 plate appearances for a batter and so many outings or innings for a pitcher. You may know. I can't remember exactly, but
the way it works is you have, unless it's changed, but the way it works is you have 3 options. Basically, what that means is the club has 3 seasons to move you up and down as much as they want.
Okay.
As long as it's in the guidelines of, like, I think now once you get sent down, you have to be there for 15 days at least before you can get called back up. But the only time that gets changed is in a situation where you go into being labeled as a Super 2, which basically means you make the opening day roster your first time in camp and you spend 2 straight years in the big leagues. And so you forego that third year or that third option.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I understand it. It could, like I said, it could have changed by now. I haven't been versed on this, but when I was there, that's basically how it works. Is for 3 years they can send you up and down as much as they want, and you can spend as much time in the big leagues as you want.
And I may have to look it up again because there was a thing that they were like a couple of guys were mentioning, and this was a few years ago actually. But I don't know. Maybe because you got a different perspective than I do. But if they come up for too long, they bring them up for too many games, then they're considered a major leaguer, and it's not that they can't be sent back down, but they lose. Like if they're in the minors, they keep control of their contract. Once they become a rookie, like I don't know, it's like they lose 1 year of eligibility under that control or something like that. Once again, I'm not 100% sure on it, but that's what I thought.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Because that would mean that they'd have four options instead of 3. But I know that you have 3 options, and then 3 years of arbitration is typically the control that a team has on a player.
Okay.
I do know that after you hit a certain amount of games, you are no longer considered a rookie, but I don't think that affects your options.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Oh, that's okay.
I do know, like, your rookie status, I guess you could say.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. Might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's a good perspective. Good perspective.
Okay. So another question posed was Reese Olson's been getting hurt a little bit more than normal. Is this a cause for concern? Could we consider him injury prone? And so that is, he got injured last year a couple of times, I do believe, and he's been injured twice this year. And now he's pretty much done for the season. They say he could come back in the playoffs, but thoughts?
I can't consider him as being injury prone, especially within your first 2 seasons. I mean, we said the same thing about Casey Mize, and he's been injured a lot. And look at the season he has. Yep. So, being a pitcher is just tough, man. I mean, it's tough when the pitches you throw, to avoid Tommy John surgery and everything with your arm. But I can't necessarily say that he's injury prone. Now, if it's like 5 or 6 seasons or something like that, then I could consider that injury prone. But I can't consider that as the first, 2 years, 2 or 3 years. I can't do that because he's still young and there's still time for him to get better, for his arm to get better. And people got to realize too that having an injury, and Kyle will tell you this too, having an injury as a pitcher, it's tough to get over that. It's tough, especially if you had multiple surgeries and stuff, and then you got to throw on your arm so many times. That's tough. And then to get the rhythm back and everything, it's tough. So that's something Reese also has to go through. But like I say, he's still young, so I'm not going to consider him injury prone. I just think it's just unfortunate what he's going through. But when he comes back next year, let's just see, what he does next season. If he can't come back this year, we'll just see what he does next year. But that just means somebody else got to step up to the plate in his absence.
Hey, Kyle, thoughts? So what is your opinion on trying to hurry back a pitcher? Now you're not a position player per se, so I would have said versus, but from your pitcher perspective, and I know it depends on the injury and everything like that, but if a player has an option, we all know that the pitcher's going to want to come back and pitch as soon as possible if they can. What is your opinion on? Is that good or bad? How do you feel? What's your opinion on that?
It's tough. As a player, you never want to miss time. I was very lucky. I was not injured but one time throughout my career. Never really had to miss time because of an arm injury. My injury was an oblique, but it is frustrating. It's very frustrating. Like, it's frustrating to think that you can't go out there and do something, and you're sitting there wondering how much longer is this going to take? How much longer? So you get antsy. As a player, you want to be out there to play the game, and the more that you're not out there, the harder it is for you mentally. So sometimes, I think as a player, you might rush yourself out there thinking that you're good, and you're not, and then as an organization, when you look at it, the last thing you want is this guy to re-injure himself and prolong it even longer. I think that's something that we don't necessarily see as players sometimes, because you spend so much time working on your body and taking your body through stuff, you start to learn what your body can handle and what you can't. And sometimes as a player, we kind of forget that we're pushing the limits of our body, because before we got hurt, we were healthy. So when you're not 100%, you don't really know what that body limit, is pushed to. So you think you can do something, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And I think that's when the organization comes in. I think the biggest thing you just have to do as a player in an organization is be able to communicate that together and make the best plan together. Is there going to be some conversations and disagreements? Absolutely. But I think an organization that has their best interest for the player will speak their mind, but also trust that the player is giving them the right information. But you learn early on. I think you learn early on who those guys are. You know who the guys are that don't know anything about their body and the guys that do know stuff about their body. And I think that's when the organization either puts too much input in or they don't put enough input in, because they can trust a guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it does. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think when you come back from injury, that first pitch will tell you, like, hey, did I come back too soon? Am I good? That first couple pitches will tell you, how in your body, because when guys never been injured and they get injured, they start to think like, oh man, I never felt like this before. So it tells your body one thing, and be like, oh man, like, I got injured, I gotta redo this, redo that, get my body together, and it's just it throws you off for a loop. And I think it's just getting back to yourself is going to be tough. But the first couple pitches will tell you, did I make the right decision or not? Because you'll feel it for sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and you can't recreate game atmosphere either.
Exactly.
Nope.
It's a different adrenaline rush.
Yeah. Plus there's a routine that you go through too. You can't go through a routine and then just pitch in a simulated game. It's not the same thing. You gotta like actually pitch in the game, whether it's 3 innings, 2 innings, whatever, because you have to like get back into like, what did I do when I woke up? I go to, I'm pitching today. How many, like, am I going out to the bullpen, and how much am I going to throw before I get out on the mound? Like, everything's a routine. Like, we were talking superstitions before. Everything's a routine. You got to go. Every player in every sport has their routine. If you don't go through that, it's just not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So the only topic we have left, I posted this in the group chat for us. Nobody responded, so I brought one up. So I try to do an interesting fact of the week, and I've done a few. So I found one. I figured I'd find one for pitchers, seeing as how you're on here, Mr. Gibson. I figured I'd try to pose one, and here's an interesting fact. This is crazy, but it's a fact. Cy Young threw 92% complete games of his career. 92% of the games he pitched was complete games. Now, granted, it was a different era, 1800s, early 1900s, different era, but still, it's just crazy that he pitched 92% complete games when we barely get one out of eight even a great starter in today's game.
I was gonna actually ask you that. I wonder what the percentage is of complete games like in a season nowadays.
I could probably look up the totals from last year. Just give me a second here.
I think that's a prime reason why the award is named after him, though. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Holy cow!
It was 28 last year.
Oh, were there
28% of games were complete games?
No,
Yep.
no,
and that's considered a record low.
Did you say 28% or 28?
No, 28 total.
28 total.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So that's considered, and they consider that.
That's not even one per. That's not even one per team. That's crazy. That is
crazy.
Man, I mean, I grew up. I'm older than the majority of the people that are on our little cast here. We have one guy a little older than me, but I'll be 54. So when I was growing up, complete games were a lot more common. You saw them. You'd see probably from a team, probably 20 from one team in a year. You know, it wasn't uncommon to see a complete game, but now because of all like we were talking in the beginning, because that's the one thing I think you or Rich asked was like the amount of innings, and you were telling us like overseas they do 140 pitches, complete games, stuff like that on a regular, whereas here it's more of a money thing. We're protecting our arms, but even I think like I remember a couple of years ago, what was his name? Clayton Kershaw had a chance at a no-hitter. Man, it was the 8th inning and they took him out. I really am mad because I wanted to see it because you knew they would have probably thrown it. But that's in today's sports now. They want to protect those arms.
Yeah. They do. And I think we've only I think it's only been 12 so far this season. It's only been 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so it's probably going to be even less. I mean, it's the way and you see a lot of like you seldom ever saw bullpen, we call them bullpen sessions now, where you get like you'll end up like 5 relievers they'll do 2 or 3 innings a piece all the way through the game, and that's just because we don't have a true starter to throw out there, which was never heard of until probably I think COVID is what started the bullpen sessions.
Tampa Bay. I was a part of it. I was a part of it, boys.
Yeah. But and I'm gonna bring this up to you too, Chris. In 1975, did you know that there were complete games? It was 1,052 complete games in 75.
Holy smokes! I did not know that.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
It's so much the norms, man. Of this, I miss those days though. I miss it where you get complete games where pitchers. I actually saw a complete game. I saw a complete 10-inning game by a pitcher once, and it was like that was back in the 80s. They pitched into the extra innings. They pitched 10 innings, and I think he had like 14 strikeouts. But it was like it was a pitcher's duel. It really was, and they went into a complete game. I don't think it was a And,
I wonder
something.
I wonder in a year like that. You said 1975?
Yep.
I wonder in a year like that with those complete games, how many of them were maybe 6 to 7 or kind of maybe more runs given up than what we expect from a complete game today.
Yeah.
I think, or were all 1,000 plus of those a 1-0, 2-0, 3-1 win, whatever it is, or a lopsided win kind of thing, or were some of those games like 7-9 that both, one guy just decided to keep going because, his pitch count was low or something like that. I wonder how many games are like that.
So I'm gonna bring this up as well. Say in 1975, there were 1,052 complete games pitched in Major League Baseball. This was the time when complete games were very much more common, with 1 in every 3.7 starts resulting in a complete game.
So every 3 to 4 starts, you had a complete game.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Because I was so used to, when I was a kid, I was so used to you got the starter, you got one middle reliever, and this which they used to call a setup man, and then you'd have the closer, and that was it. That's all you had.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a problem. You had 7, 8 innings. The setup man would come in for an inning, and the closer would come in the 9th, and that was it. That was it. You had 3 guys in the game at most. If you didn't, and it was a blowout, that setup man just closed the game out. There was you didn't have to worry about having like 5, 6 arms out there for anything. They didn't do anything like that. So much different era nowadays.
And then that year, the pitcher who pitched the most complete games was Catfish Hunter for the Yankees. He pitched 30 complete games.
Jeez.
Wow.
How many starts did he have? Does it say?
Look that up. I'm going to look that up.
I will tell you, the best way to go to 75. If you go to 1975, I just thought of this. Go look at quality starts, because quality start is any start that you have 3 or fewer runs. That'll tell you what how many quality starts there were. Because if there wasn't like the ratio between quality start to complete games, if the quality starts were really, really low, like less than half, that means they gave up a lot of runs, but they still completed a complete game.
Yeah. So it's because he played 39 games and he started 39. And he was 29 in 75. So he was at a record of 23-14 at a 2.58 ERA.
Wow.
To 30 complete games,
7 shutouts.
Wow.
That's
So he lost 7, or maybe not lost, but did not get a decision. No, wait. Yeah, lost or didn't get a decision in 7 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
Of those complete games.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You can pitch a complete game. He probably, and if he's got a sub 3 ERA, he probably only allowed like 2 or 3 runs.
Yeah.
Which means that he had no run support in this game. So, whoo. Good pitcher.
Yeah.
Good pitcher.
Very, very, very.
So, so we have no more topics, but there is a question I always wait till the end to ask this question. So, so you still a very young man here. So do you have kids?
I do. I have 2 kids.
Awesome. Okay. So in both your professional and personal life, what is your best accomplishment in both? What do you see as your best accomplishment in both your career and in your personal life? It's up
Can
to
you
you
guys still hear me?
Answer the question.
Yeah, we hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My headphones sounded like they just died. I'm just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Professionally, I would probably, it's hard to say. It's hard to not say making it to the big leagues. That was a lifelong dream of mine. Weirdly, just used to tell everybody I was going to do it. Like, never really said I wanted to do it. I just always said I was going to do it, and I just never believed anybody that told me I wasn't going to make it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me being kind of stupid as a young kid, but sometimes it's good to be dumb. So I would say that probably professionally. As far as personally, just being a dad to my kids. That is every day that I get to spend with them. I got 2 daughters. Every day that I get to spend with them, I try try to cherish it. It's just they bring so much joy to my life, and so much that, you know, when I got done playing baseball, I didn't know if I would find that again, but I have realized that I have found even more joy in being a dad to them than I did playing a game that I loved for so long.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a daughter daddy too. So mine's getting ready to go to college this coming September. In fact, she's up in the other room right now, but just on her iPad doing whatever. But yeah, it's fun being a dad of a daughter. It's something. There's some rewarding situation behind that you wouldn't get with a boy. It's a whole lot different. So yeah, that's awesome. I like the reason why I like asking that question is because you can see the differences in the questions and the expression on you guys. Any athletes that I talk to, I have the same expression. It's like, make it to the pros, whichever sport it happens to be. But when they start talking about their family, their faces light up. Because you can tell how much more that personal life is for you. It's just so much different. And I like to see that. It's great to see the expression on players' faces when they talk about their family. That is just great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Kyle, let me ask you this one. So being that you played with Tampa and Texas, what were like the two big like comparison in playing with those two teams?
Honestly, there really wasn't much of a comparison. They were two completely different organizations altogether. From a baseball standpoint, Tampa was just so far ahead in the, I guess the era, I guess I could say I came up in was when the analytics started turning and everybody started using analytics, and Tampa was like one of those first teams. But for some reason, everybody in Tampa, I guess the differences I could say, other than similarities, Tampa just seems so much more invested in getting guys to accomplish whatever they wanted to accomplish in the game of baseball. Like if you showed them that you were willing to put in the work, then they were going to be right by your side to get you there. And maybe that was just lucky for me in my situation, but I find that hard to believe. I was a 35th round pick. They didn't do anything to invest in me. They had no reason to put any effort into me. But I had such amazing relationships with all the pitching coaches that I got involved with there. And you could really, truly feel the care and the love that they had for you over there, and that they really did have your back. And, not to talk down on the Rangers at all when I say this, because they obviously fulfilled a lifelong dream of mine. But once I kind of showed, the difference, once I kind of showed that I guess I wasn't going to be a guy in their organization, it was just anything I asked for just kind of went by. They didn't really seem really invested in me at all. And you could just kind of feel like the cold shoulder was given to you every time you asked for something.
Oh, wow.
Very, very big differences in those two organizations. But, once again, I was drafted by Tampa. They may not have invested much in me, but they invested something in me. They invested a pick in me. Spent 5 years with them, and Texas didn't really have anything, invested in me. So maybe that's the way the politics of it played out. I don't know. But those are probably the two biggest differences, other than the analytical side of things. Like, I had no help analytically. And the past, 4 of my 5 years with Tampa, all they were doing was teaching me how my analytics could make me a better player. And then I got to the Rangers, and it was like they didn't even really know how to explain it to me. I was almost like explaining it to them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
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 It was a big difference.
there's a lot to be said for front office. Like when you have a front office that's really good that can help and mold players, like, and that's every player. There's a lot to be said for that. Not every organization is built like that. I mean, and even like if we can see it, I can only imagine what the players feel in the organization themselves too. So that there's a huge difference there, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Steve even brought it up kind of earlier with like talking about the pitching coaches, and the pitching coach that you guys have are probably there to help out. I can't remember who we were talking about, but one of the pitchers, that guy is going to be invested in that guy. One of the things that sometimes I'll tell people, I actually had more fun in AAA than I did the big leagues, just because of the situation I was in. The flights, the hotels, all of that was better, but like the camaraderie of the team and the lack of coaching I got to have while I was in the big leagues, like AAA was always better for me. But that was kind of, I really related to you saying that, because once Texas realized that I wasn't going to be a guy for them, it was like I was basically left to figure things out on my own. And that was probably the hardest bit of adversity that I had to face, because I had to try to learn how to do something at the highest level possible with nobody to really be there to help me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can weigh on you. And that's part of the mental game of baseball. There's only one thing that separates single A from the big leagues, and that's the mental part of the game. That's really all it is. The skill is there for everybody, but it's how can you handle the mental part of the game, and how can you get through that?
Yeah. And I think that's what it was. And that was the thing with Torque. Torque was a big deal with him. He just couldn't get out of his own head. And at first I thought he was just being stubborn and he wasn't coachable. And it turns out it was just in his own head. Like he just couldn't and that's the big deal. Like you get drafted high, that doesn't mean you automatically, like, you're going to make the team. And a lot of times, unlike what happened to you, I could guarantee you that the number one prospect from that team probably got all the leeway possible until they finally said, you know what, you're not worth it anymore. You've just taken too long.
Yeah.
Most organizations, the higher you're drafted, unfortunately, this is just the business of it. The higher you're drafted, the more leeway you get. The more skills and talent you have, the more leeway you get. It's just the way it goes. Some players, like we just saw, what's his name, just got inducted into the Football Hall of Fame today. He was a tight end. What's his name?
Antonio Gates.
Yeah. Was never drafted. And look at where he went. Like can you imagine what he had to do on a daily basis? Nobody, he got signed, and I'm telling you, he probably got, dude, you're just going to have to eat off of whatever you can find. I'm sorry, but he's probably the guy that freaking had to do everything in his power to make himself better. Like nobody's going to help him, Yeah. So I can only imagine. And I can see your viewpoint. Like once the Texans figured, you weren't going to be their guy in Texas, they were done. They were just like, okay, well, we're going to move on to somebody else. Not physically, but just mentally. That's, good luck,
Yeah.
Not, like you said, not talking bad on them, just that was the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, yeah. I mean, I could have handled that situation way better. So I will back it up by saying that. Not to put blame on anybody, because it's my career.
Absolutely.
I could have handled that situation so much better. I just did it.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah,
It happens when you're in that situation. It can blindside you. So it's nothing else you can do on that. You just did what you can do.
Yeah, and you were young at the time too. I mean, I'm sure I don't know what your supporting cast was back then, but yeah, I mean, not everybody has a huge supporting cast. Sometimes you've got friends that aren't the right people to be around, and sometimes you do. It just depends. Yeah. Your supporting cast is a big deal when you're in the minors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've got so still military. I retire next year. Literally, yesterday was my 1 year from retiring, so I have one more year till I retire. But I had a sergeant a boss in my unit a few years ago, and he had a really good thing you can use. He said, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." And over the course since then, I've seen soldiers, civilians that just ruin themselves because they can't get rid of the people that are around them that are not good for them, you know. And that can be such a big hindrance, or it can be a help depending on who you are. And in the majors or professional sports, it's really big.
Yeah. So I got a 2-part question for Kyle. I got a 2-part. One, I know you played in the Trop. How happy are you that Tampa has a new stadium now other than the Trop? And my second question is, would you ever consider coaching in baseball?
The first part, where's their new? I thought they were just playing in the spring training stadium right now.
Yeah, they had
the
George Steinbrenner Stadium. I believe that's.
I was just down there. I was just down there in Tampa for my daughter's graduation because she literally graduated across the street from where that stadium is.
Tropicana or George Steinbrenner?
I can't remember what it's called. All I know is that I see the big it says Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. On the building. I just know it was across the street from there, right around there.
Gotcha. I think I just saw too that they just sold and now they're going to be building a new stadium and everything in Tampa.
Yep.
I think that's going to be really, really good for the organization because I know there are a lot of people that didn't necessarily love living in Tampa and having to drive to St. Pete every day. So I'm super excited for them. Obviously, they drafted me and gave me my opportunity. I do like them a lot. If there is any team that I could say I'd probably pull for, it's probably them. But I'm anxious to see how it all plays out because, originally when they were talking about the sale of the team and stuff, the owner of the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, which is basically the stadium I grew up going to. It's a AAA team for the Marlins. He was supposed to buy, and they were talking about him buying the team and sending them up to Jacksonville, which I was kind of excited for. But I saw that they ended up selling and that they were going to move out to Tampa. I think it's great. I think it's going to draw more people to want to go play there. I think it's going to be able to give them a better opportunity to possibly get in a bigger market. I think it can only benefit that organization. So I'm excited to see it. And then the second part of your question, I don't know if I can. Are you saying at the professional level, college level?
Oh, any level.
So professionally, I don't know if I would want to. I got really tired of traveling. I think if I didn't have any kids, I would definitely do it. But judging, I spent the whole year in Japan without my family there.
Wow.
The whole entire season, they weren't allowed to go out there, and that was a pretty rough time for me mentally. One of the tougher times mentally that I had to kind of deal with. I think a lot of that was the time difference, though. But I just got kind of tired of being away from them after that. And I know if I ever went into coaching professionally or even collegiately, I would have to do that. But as far as any other levels, I think there's an interest there. I personally train kids right now, one-on-one, but I know that's because I can give everything that I have to those kids. And I think that if I got into coaching, I wouldn't be able to give everything I had into coaching because I would, my kids come before anybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If there would be any time where I would have to sacrifice time with my kids to make sure I was coaching, I know I would have an issue with that. And knowing that I couldn't pour everything into coaching a team is kind of what keeps me away from that. You know, maybe down the road when my kids are grown up, moved out, maybe I'll consider it. But just right now, I don't think it's right for me just yet. You know.
Okay.
And another little bit of that too is I still feel like I can kind of compete. So it would be tough for me to.
For sure.
No, it's tough for me to think I would coach somebody when I'm, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, how's this guy here? Because I could easily be doing this as well. So sometimes that comes into play as well.
Does any pro athlete actually retire? I
think some do. I think some really do. But I don't think any athlete ever believes that they can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, shoot, I used to be a marathon runner. And once I started getting injured, had hip issues and all that stuff like that. Even when I was injured, like on my way home, driving home, I would see people out running and I'd be like, I can do that. But I'd get out there and I couldn't do that. Like it was, you just still think you can and you can't anymore. And once again, I've never, the highest level I've ever raced at is I qualified for Boston one year. And I had a chance to do it, but my daughter was like 2 or 3 years old and kind of like you, mom was deployed. So there was no way I could go. I wanted to, it was a lifelong dream to run the Boston Marathon. But I just didn't get the chance to. It was on my bucket list. I figured I could do it another year and it just never happened. But it is what it is. You have to make a better choice. And the better choice was my daughter was a thing. I mean, could I have taken her with me? Possibly. Could have gotten a babysitter or somebody to watch her. Yeah, but that would have been time spent that I would have missed. And it was just more important to be with her versus going to do a race, you know, no matter if it was on my bucket list or not, it just didn't matter. So I completely agree with you in some sense. I mean, I was deployed also for 15 months without my daughter and 12 months. So 2 of those. So I get it. I mean, we all have different perspectives, but when you're gone away from your family for a year, it's rough. And I absolutely believe it. You always make your kids will always be your best choice, no matter what. That's the way it goes. Yeah.
I agree. I believe in that.
Mm-hmm. So any food for thoughts for young pitchers coming up, whether it's high school kids, college kids, young players, minor leaguers that are trying to make it through the system? Do you have any advice for any of them?
The only the thing I tell everybody that I talk to, and this is obviously something I believe in, is baseball is all about consistency. And if you are consistent in the game of baseball, then you will level up, no matter where you started from, no matter where you're at. As a former professional athlete, if I ever go back to my high school and talk to them, well, not to get long-winded here, but when I used to go back to my high school and talk to those kids when I was a professional home for the off season, I used to tell them and let them realize, like, I was there on my own time. And, like, there was no coach that was forcing me to be there to work out. There was nobody looking over my shoulder. Hey, is he getting his work in? And to relate that to, I guess, the advice I'm trying to give out is, like, just find a way to do something every single day to get better at the game. Whether it's 10 minutes you're spending on the game or it's 2 hours that you're spending to get better. Find a way to do something to get better every day, and you will be amazed by how much you can excel at the game. And that's, I think you can relate that one to baseball, but I think you can relate it to life too. Like, if there's a goal that you ever want to work towards in life, just do it every day. I've never been a reader. I'm trying to get into reading books recently. The only way I talked to somebody about it. I actually talked to my dad about it. He was like, just read 10 pages a day. He said, eventually you'll start reading more than 10 pages. And eventually you'll start building and getting better at it. You'll start being able to comprehend what you read. It's the same with baseball. It's the same with everything you want to do in life.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful at something, And baseball is no different, even though some people might tell you it is. Some people might tell you don't have the talent or the work ethic, whatever it is. Just spend a little bit of time on it every single day, and you'll be amazed how much better you get at it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's very good advice. I like that. That's really kind of refreshing, actually. I'm not a good reader either. I'm terrible. My daughter reads. Her reading level is freaking astronomical. She's way better reader than I am. Like, I hate reading, but
Well, I mean, that's better in my situation. My kid's going into second grade, and she's a way better reader than me.
Well, I mean, my daughter's been a better reader than me for years. And I'm a paralegal in the military. I have to read regulations and guidelines every single day. I have to manage with attorneys every single day. So it's a different concept, but I find ways to figure things out without having to read the entire every single page. So
Yeah.
It works, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, I mean, we can close this out. We gone longer than we normally do, but special guests we tend to give special attention to. So, and it's great that we had you on. I'm glad that Steve brought you talked to you, got you on here. Love talking to you. You're an awesome guy. I mean, as a person, seems like as a dad as well. So that's awesome. I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad you took your time out of your day, especially in the evening, to talk about baseball and stuff.
Yeah, thank you guys. Steve, I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yes,
Chris, appreciate you having me on, and really enjoyed talking ball with you guys. So, anytime you guys want me back, let me know. I'll definitely open up my calendar for you guys. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I'll have to make sure I keep up with the Tigers in Detroit a lot more now.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes we got to keep up with them too, and we fans of them.
Absolutely.
So Kyle, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, social media, where could they find you at?
The best place is my Instagram. It is Kyle_Bird17. That is pretty much the only social media that I use. So that would be the best place to reach out to me.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Yep. I'm gonna also, because I'm gonna bring it up too. This is a page as well. So
yeah.
Bring it up. Pictures with his kids and everything. So Yep.
Awesome. More followers. Yeah. Woohoo. That's awesome. No, I like it. That's cool. And see, that's how you. So that's how I can tell the father in you is because the very first your very first pictures are all your kids. Oh, and the dog. I love the dog. It's cool. I love it. I'm a dog.
Passed away not too long ago, so I had her up there.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw the cat behind me, but I'm more of a dog person, but love my cat altogether as well.
Any animal's good with me.
Yep.
Got my kids a fish today, so I'm in the aquarium world now.
So I have a cousin. Not to make this longer, really short. I have a cousin that got into tropical fish, to the point where his entire basement, he's got 17 breeds, and he's got all this. He's got 15 tanks, and he's gotten into the point where exotic species and all this stuff, and he actually he actually breeds special ones for other pet shops, and it's crazy. He's gone completely mad. I'm like, dude, this is way too much. He goes, I have nothing else to do. What else am I supposed to do? I'm retired. I'm bored. But yeah, I don't know if you're going to go to that extent, but yeah.
We started with a beta fish, and I've already lost a couple of those, so I don't know if I can get into tropicals yet.
Beta, I don't like saltwater. It's too much to manage, but betas are hard. You got to be very careful with them. I had one time, and it died rapidly. So I like to go. I like to go with the the semi-aggressive freshwater fish. the colorful ones, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're on number 3 right now. So
okay.
Okay.
All right.
about 2 though.
All right. Oh, hi.
Jump in. Say hi.
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 Did they name the fish?
Still thinking about it.
Not yet. Yep. So, Steve, where can they find you?
Oh, the New Breed 313 Sports, also 313 The New Breed, Real Talk, all platforms, D313XP as well. So, and on here as well. So,
Yep. And you can find me on X at Crazy Hockey Fan. You can also find me on Instagram at OnePrideNation_24. You'll also find me occasionally on the NFL show on Tuesdays and sometimes Wednesdays. You also find me on What Up Doe on Fridays. Both those shows start at 8 as well. And now that the Lions are starting up, we will also probably be doing pregame and postgame shows as well. Those times are yet to be determined. But Rich, Mr. Bird, Kyle, Richard said thank you for your time and your questions and stuff because he had to go because his internet service was down. But he said thank you for coming on the show as well. Just wanted to didn't want him just to disappear for nothing, but that's what happened.
that Tennessee Wi-Fi got the best of him.
Yeah, poor guy. That's always storming there. Always has rain, always storming there for some reason. They're in that jet stream. But we'll give back your time to your kids. I know your daughter is doing the same thing my daughter sometimes used to do. So I completely understand. But thank you very much for coming out and taking the time out of your day to have a conversation basically with us.
Of course. Thank you guys again. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. And best of luck to the Tigers and best of luck to you guys with this podcast. You know, I really appreciate
it. And thanks for everybody that was viewing. We had about 200 viewers tonight. Just like and subscribe on Detroit Fan Report. And we will be doing a drawing because we got over 500 viewers. So we'll be doing a Detroit jersey drawing soon. Once we can get all the ID names of all the viewers, we'll be doing that drawing. Promise, we will do that. Thanks, everybody. And from Detroit Fan Report, go Tigers. And we are out.